Part 2 of how I almost died of a broken heart. For a quick recap from the last time, I had a lot of underlying stress and a history of infertility, including the loss of 8 pregnancies and a second trimester loss of identical twins. I had just found myself unexpectedly pregnant after being told by multiple different professionals that that was an impossibility for me, and having to do IVF in the past, only to discover that it was an ectopic. At that point, I scheduled a surgery. It was supposed to be a quick, easy, and very routine surgery. Unfortunately, what happened next was not. I was having a lot of anxiety before the procedure. They were really late getting everything started. I was sitting back in a room for a really long time, very stressed out. I'd requested anxiety medication multiple different times. Nobody gave it to me. They kept saying, we're almost ready, we're almost ready, we're almost ready. As someone who's experienced 8 losses, the PTSD was awful. It was a lot. Even thinking about it now, I feel so sorry for that poor girl who had to go through that experience. They eventually call me back. I say goodbye to my husband. He leaves. The next thing that I know, I'm being violently woken up by being unable to breathe. First thing that I remember waking up is gasping for air, and feeling my lungs just full of fluid. Every breath that I took felt like I was just scraping just enough oxygen. It felt like I was breathing underwater. I very specifically remember screaming or trying to scream, but nothing but this gurgly noise came out of me, and that scared the shit out of me. I was trying to ask what was happening to the nurse, but the nurse that was there was frantically on the phone calling people, trying to figure out how to get me to an ICU. There was a lot of chaos that was happening in my general vicinity. So nobody was really able to give me answers about what had happened to me at that point. All I knew is that I was coughing up blood, I was coughing up fluid, and I couldn't breathe. I'll never forget it at this point because I hadn't spoken to my mom at this point, I think over a year. Just this very guttural feeling of knowing that you're dying or feeling like you're dying and crying out for something that doesn't exist even. Gosh. The nurses realized that I had come to and that I was cognizant, and she came over, put me on my side, tried to help me get the remainder of what was coming up out of my lungs. Finally, squeeze out the words, what happened. She told me, at that point, they thought that I had a pulmonary embolism, I believe, during the surgery, and that's what she told me. And things after that are kind of fuzzy, that there were a lot of people running around, or someone telling me that I was very lucky that I didn't need to be intubated. And then they wheeled me up to the intensive care unit.